who lost their last two, 70 points to 14 at St Helens, 52-10 at bottom club Huddersfield, yet they travelled to St Helens 2 weeks ago on the back of a 3-match unbeaten run, with the top 5 still high on their agenda. It is still high on the agenda of the London Broncos. The kick-off off the arms of Busby, it went backwards, play on. We're underway here at the Wilderspool Stadium, and it's Warrington with first use of the football, and John Clark is the dummy half, and he tips it inside to the departing Danny Nutley. He will be with Cronulla Sharks this time next year. But Steve-o, this is a huge match for London. As we saw on the table, they're just outside the 5, with Leeds going to Bradford tomorrow. This is their chance to put pressure on the Rhinos.
Certainly is. They know it's important, and they've got to come up with a win. Of course, Warrington, after the last 2 games, there's Tony Ray. He's pretty confident. Spoke to him a couple of hours ago. He felt very pleased with the way things have just settled in, despite the fact they've had so many injury problems. But for Warrington, Eddie, it's got to be a matter of pride. 120 points scored against them in the last 2 games.
Yes, it has. And here's the Frenchman, Hules, and that's a great chase led by the captain, Alan Langer, and Danny Nutley, 2 men who won't be here next year, and Langer again working hard. Well, that was and he's lost the ball there. He's lost the ball with Paul Sykes, and a knock-on is given. Pressure at the play the ball by Alan Langer.
Well, the guy on loan, and Paul Sykes has come up with a big mistake, but good work from Alan Langer. I mentioned the fact that they conceded so many points, did Warrington, over those last 2 games, that their defence has been, well, pitiful, but that was strong.
And Breers gets the ball away to Ian Sibbett. Sibbett disappears under the challenge of Dan Potter. Dummy half there is Dean Busby. Big collision on him. 3 London defenders were seeking him, found him. It's now with Langer. Here is Nickau. Ball worked back off the chest of Mercer. Did it go backwards? Referee says yes, it did. Warrington retained possession in the shape of Nutley. They go down the short side with John Clark. Ball tipped in again. This now is Nickau, and London having to work really hard around the play the ball to keep Warrington out. There's a knock-on there, though. Knock-on by Nickau.
Well, a bad mistake there, in a wonderful position to open in the scoring. And full credit to this London defence. They scrambled back after they were the first to make a mistake. Paul Sykes it was. Edel van der Velde, it has not been a good season for him. His last here, of course. He will retire at the end of this season.
Well, he'll go home to Australia. I was talking to him yesterday, and he hasn't quite made his mind up yet about what his next career step is. But it won't be in coaching, that's for sure. I think he's had enough.
I think I'd have to agree with you there, Eddie. I think Darryl, well and truly, after this particular season, must have been a nightmare, those 2 games that he's had to witness the past fortnight.
Real tussle at the scrum, the 2 hookers, John Clark, once of London, of course, and Glenn Eyre, playing his 5th in a row at hooker for the London Broncos, by the way.
I must say, Tony Ray, the London coach, has been exceptionally pleased with the way that Glenn Eyre has fitted into that role.
Big deep kick on the very first tackle. The chase is on, but Alan Hunt is there, but it's a very good chase actually from London, and the first man there was Retchless, and with him also was Dan Potter. This is his full London debut, by the way. He was non-playing sub last week against Hull. The man wearing 36, Dan Potter.
Not a bad option, that, as well. Obviously, Tony Ray keen for the Broncos to make sure that they get possession, and then make sure this Warrington side have to keep going backwards. It'll tire out the forwards eventually.
Danny Nutley on the 40 line. He plays the ball. This now is Guisset, the French international for Warrington. Just inside his own half of the field. John Clark gets the ball away to Breers. A little dab over the top by Breers, and Langer tried to fly Hackett on, but it was gathered in the end.
Well, neat little chip over the top. It was really a bit of a mess. Scott Cram it was that came to the rescue.
And now Warrington are caught offside on halfway.
Now then, will London come up with a set move? I know they've been working very hard this week, and over the past couple of weeks they feel that they've frittered away the opportunity. They should have beaten Hull, they felt, last weekend.
This is Tony Mestrov for them. He's featured in all 19 for London in Super League this year. He plays the ball. It's now with Dennis Moran on the bounce. Inside it comes to Scott Cram, and Cram straightens things up Now this is the first real test of this Warrington defence, which Jerome Guisset said yesterday has been pretty appalling in the last 2 matches. They'll have to tighten, and they will against this fellow, Nigel Roy, who has crossed the whitewash 8 times in Super League this year. They keep him out, and that's a flick pass out there from Glenair, and it went straight over the touchline on that far side.
Well, not a bad option. You could see that the Wolves' defence not really solid on that right-hand side. But unfortunately for that fella Glenair, that Alan Langer, who was putting himself about in the opening minutes, he really has come up with some wonderful tackles as Alfie.
Well, he returned from that State of Origin match, didn't he, where he was absolutely breathtaking for Queensland, and he didn't have the best of games at St Helens, and it wasn't terribly clever apparently from a Warrington point of view last week either. And Darrell van der Velde, the departing coach, says a lot of these players actually are playing for their future. They might be coming out of contract. There's a new coach who will be coming in, and they're playing for contracts for next year, if not here, elsewhere. Danny Nutley, of course, he has got a contract with the Sharks in Australia. Now then, Sibbett.
Well, I must say, it's not the best way to put yourself in the shop window, conceding 120 points in 2 games.
No, I think that point has been made very forcefully in training for Warrington this week. Breers, quick hands to Busby, but it was forward.
Oh, I'm not so sure the official got that right.
It was on the last tackle. Breers looks crestfallen. It's the turnover.
Maybe slightly. He was stood still, was Breers, so there was no chance of the momentum rule coming into play. Oh, good hit.
Big hit.
Toa Koilov. Whoa, that's a beauty. That'll spice things up.
Paul Sykes felt that, and Toa Koilov was actually then brushed aside by Nigel Roy, who is wrestled to the ground by a combination of Langer, and also in there was number 26, John Clark. Little dab over the top here from Jim Dimmock, and this will be a little test, will it, for Alan Hunt? Well, he stood over the dead ball line, and as it was still rolling, just patted the ball dead, so it's a tap on the 20-metre line for Warrington here.
Well, the option was good, but a little bit too long there from Jim Dimmock, taking full control of the kicking game for the Broncos.
It must be, Steve-O, a question for London Broncos of what might have been. They've been without Richie Barnett and Jason Hetherington for much of this season.
Yeah, it's been a big problem. I mean, at one point they had 12 top-quality players injured, and it what would have been a nightmare. That's a beautiful pass.
It is to Koilov, and he's got Rob Smythe outside him, and Rob Smythe gets the first try of this match. It was a beautiful ball, and the support was there, and Darrell van der Velde sees his men register the first points of the afternoon, courtesy of the former London Bronco and former Wigan star, Rob Smythe.
Good work. 2 halfbacks combining. Mercer came back on the angle, created the overlap. Koilov offloaded superbly. Knows how to score. There's this fella, Rob Smythe. But watch the offload. Superb there from Alan Hunt. Mercer came in on the angle. It confused the defence. Perfect offload from Koilov. That was great rugby league football.
Well, just the start that Warrington required from their former London Bronco. There for a couple of years, as you can see. Came up here last year at the back end of the season, and that's his 9th try of the campaign. Now then, Lee Breers with the opportunity to add the extras. This is a difficult angle, though, for the Welsh international, and Breers is in the Welsh squad for that England match in a week or two's time. On its way, and the crowd behind the post will tell you that it's a great kick from Lee Breers. Warrington are ahead by 6 points to 0.
They can see there's a dummy rung of Mercer. Moran thinks he's going to get it. Oh, and they were sucked well and truly in there. They were found wanting. 2 men going for Koilov, offloaded. An easy run to the line.
Well, they have the firepower to Warrington. That's the 84th try that they've scored this season, so they're capable of scoring points, but they concede far too many. 99 tries shipped in this season. 1 here today, and they will have that awful 3 figures against their name. Now, just to remind you again that we have International Rugby League on Tuesday week, the 31st of July. It's on Sky Sports 3. It'll be live from Wrexham, the racecourse ground. Wales against England. And it's all part and parcel of the build-up this season to the Test Series against the Australians, which is due at the back end of the Super League season. Great Britain taking on the Kangaroos. Something to really look forward to at the end of the year. And that's a good kick from Langer. Will it just stay? No, it just creeps its way over the dead ball line. But Langer, Steve-O, looks in the mood tonight.
Certainly he started out the right way, had the first 2 tackles, and it seems to have lifted his side. And they must have gone through an embarrassing period themselves. They've had a good look at themselves, obviously, in the mirror and said, come on, fellas, we've got to sort something out. But the London coach, Tony Ray, wouldn't be happy with the defensive line and the pattern. OK, Mercer used and he came back on the angle as a dummy runner. But the way that Wharton was sucked into his centre left a huge gap out wide for Coe Love.
Long ball here for Retchless. He gets the ball away, and this is a good run coming in here from Dan Potter. Halted, though, by the tackle from Lee Penny. Hules was the dummy half. Dimmock with a clever little kick over the top. Well read, though, by Alan Hunt.
Very alert, the fullback. And it was Alan Hunt, of course, that created that first try. It was a magnificent offload.
Penalty here for use of the elbow, I think, in the tackle by Jim Dimmock. Just dropped on the face of Hunt.
Play. It really has become a bit of a problem for the London Broncos throughout this season. Tony Ray often describes it as playing dumb football. Well, that certainly was. Lost about 50 metres.
Of course, Tony Ray, in his first full season in charge of the Broncos, has been a frustrating season for him, but I don't think anyone could be more frustrated than Darrell van der Velde. A season of tragedy off the field, a season of injuries and frustration on it. And he wants his men to end with a little bit of a flourish. And Nick Howe has ghosted through almost. Reckless got to him now. He handed it on to Sibbett. There's Nick Howe at dummy half. Here is Breers, and Breers an angle kick for Coe Love to chase.
Oh, just too long.
Just couldn't get there, and Dan Potter did the job well, actually.
This is a beautifully weighted kick, but just got pushed away. Not the time. It was good work, though, by the loose forward, Tuira Nikau. Created the gap. And the combination and the kick from Lee Breers just a little bit too long.
And he was definitely onside, Coe Love, so had he got to that ball, it almost certainly would have been a try. Providing he touched it down correctly, of course. Cram to the halfway line.
Well, the Warrington tactics are paying off very well. They're utilising the kick when they get anywhere near the London Broncos line, and they've got two of the best out there, Lee Breers and Alain Langer, and have just pulled off the tackle.
High kick here from Sykes. That really is hanging in the air. It's a test of this for Hunt. He has dropped it. It's come down, and it's Dimmock, and this is a try. And the pass inside was from Paul Sykes, who hoisted the kick. And the referee is in no doubt that everyone was onside there. Hunt made an absolute meal of the high kick, but it hung and hung and hung. And there was just too many for Hunt to cope with. What a great kick from Sykes.
Certainly was. Well, it just kept hanging and hanging, and you could see that Alan Hunt was falling backwards. Not the best position there from the fullback. That's a gift for Dimmock. Look at this. Where is it?
It's got snow on it.
Disappears, disappears. He was in all sorts of trouble there. And Dimmock gets a gift. The Broncos fight back.
Try underneath the stick, so this should be meat and drink for Brett Wharton. And it is. The scores at Wilderspool are level. It's 6 points all. And the London fans who have made the journey north, well pleased. And so they should be. And a good job that Jim Dimmock has stayed well for, well, much of this season.
And there's been many a time this year, Eddie, that this fella has gone out onto the field of play less than 100% fit. About 3 or 4 games that I do know that he had to trot out with painkillers.
Amazing, he got his first try in 9 matches against Hull last week, and he's got his second in successive games. They're a bit like buses, aren't they, Jim de McStries? Wait for ages for one, and then they come in twos. Quarter now gone. That's a shallow kick-off, and Nutley did well. And here now comes Busby for Warrington, trying to reply immediately to that score from London.
Well, this was a great kick-off from Warrington, and it's good to see that they're trying to be a little bit more adventurous.
Mercer running onto it strongly. Understand he's one of the 16 names being considered for Darrell van der Velde's coaching position next year. John Clark's the dummy half. Lee Breers, Nickau. Nickau looking to feed it round the corner to Busby, but thought better of it in the end. Breers will attack the short side. Here's Coelove. Coelove back to Breers again.
Beautiful combination there. It was such a short little ball from Breers to Coelove.
They're giving it width now, though, and Langer will dab the kick through. So that's well collected by Wharton.
Well spotted by the wing, and it had to be as well. And yet again, Warrington launched the kick. Great tactics. Now they will fight to keep London down in their own quarter. So important these days that your kicking game out on the paddock, if it's spot on, you can guarantee that you'll come up with the spoils.
There's a kick early in the tackle count for London, right down the other end of the field. And this will hang and it will wait, and Alan Hunt will have to run it back. And there are 3 red jerseys ahead of him. And that is a terrific chase from Dennis Moran.
Well, mission accomplished. Yet again, it's the second time. Obviously the tactics from Tony Ray. Telling his charges to pointless, just hammer it out way down in your own 20.
Well, that's even Steven in the opposition half in the opening quarter of an hour.
It's important now that you get your defence so solid.
Langer taking them on. Jinking run, and off the knees he gets it away to Nutley, and Nutley punches a hole up the middle, which is quickly closed by Cram. Clark's the dummy half. It's with Breers now, and Breers with the angled kick. But that skips away from Sykes.
He's made
did
a
he
big
touch
mistake
it?
now.
I think he did. He did. It's a drop out.
Oh, he touched it, but he thought he'd try to get his foot over the line. Watch him grab the ball, and he's a yard short. Well, half a yard short. He's made a real meal of it.
Oh, and he actually caught it, didn't he?
Yep, he would have had to have been an American basketball player, I would imagine, to get anywhere near to bringing it in. Still, it's a pretty good dropout from underneath the sticks.
But back come Warrington again in the shape of Guisset. Interesting that they've got Paul Sykes and Rob Parker here at London from the Bradford Bulls on loan till the end of the season. Talking to Brian Noble just yesterday. And of course, the news that all rugby league fans didn't want to hear, that Henry Paul is leaving the Bulls at the end of the season, but he talked with such fondness about all the youngsters he's got, Brian Noble. Let's talk about Warrington, though, because they're in with Penny. Penny with the try. Great little move down the left-hand side. And Lee Penny, normally a full-back, but only one full-back appearance in Super League this year. He's come up with his 7th try of the campaign from the flank.
Well, they're finding the gaps out wide. Beautiful work, though, from Sibbett here. The simple run around with Breers on Nickau, and then Sibbett throws the dummy off. Loads superb. Penny made sure he got behind him. They're having problems on the wing, London, I'm afraid. But this simple run around with Nickau, the 1 and 2, but look at that dummy. Kept his cool to Sibbett. Just dipping down, but Penny got it. And it all came from this bad mistake from the full-back, who's about half a metre away from the dead-in goal line. That is excellent rugby league football. Great combination. Supporting the man with the football.
And Lee Penny, yes, they were on the road last year when they faced London in South Wales. Now Lee Breers this time with another difficult conversion. They're scoring out wide in both of them. But he scoops it over the top of the bar just the same, Breers. Fine kick. A try and 8 goals against London here last year. Well, those long-suffering Warrington fans.
Well, there you can see that Potter, because of the run around with Nickau, he has to commit himself, and in doing so, leaves the gap. Nothing that the Frenchman Hules could do about that, and Penny, that's a vital try.
So to Nickau for Warrington, his 50th appearance for the club against Huddersfield last week, by the way. Match he will not want to remember for anything other than that. Penalty here. Glenair all over the top and interfering with the Warrington player as he tried to get back to his feet.
Well, little doubt about it. The rules state that you roll away to the side, not over the top.
You don't go for a piggyback ride, that's for sure. So Warrington back on the offensive with Guisset.
Good work from the forwards, though. They're getting over the advantage line.
Nickau.
Certainly a lot more spirit on show today from the Wolves.
Breers, lovely ball to Mercer. Mercer scores his 100th try for Gary Mercer in the British game. A great job this year for Warrington has Mercer. It's only the 3rd try of the season, but 100 in the British game. A long and glorious career for the New Zealander.
Well, they're giving them a lesson in rugby league football and the way to utilise the man that comes as the dummy runner. That's what's creating the confusion in the Broncos' defence. Yet again, Nickau, see how he used Nutley running through. Langer and Breers through the dummy, good offload. Mercer, well, enjoyed that. In the twilight of his career.
Yes, Bradford in 1988, then to Leeds, on to Halifax and Warrington. This is his 2nd spell at the club. The 35-year-old, he's evergreen though. And Steve-O says he will have enjoyed that particular moment, his 100th try in the British game. Well, Darryl van der Velde must be surely happier at the moment than he was last Sunday night at Huddersfield on the way home. And Breers again. There's 2 more. 18-6, Warrington.
Use of the dummy running, they're the ones that start. See the Broncos defence coming in, then watch for Langer going round on the angle. Sucks them in. Nothing you can do about it. Rob Parker got sucked in early. Once the gap was on, it was all support from this man. Well, we've often referred to the Wolves this year as the Jekyll and Hyde side. And boy, oh boy, they are serving up a real treat for their fans. 2 bad games, and they're repaying some of that debt back.
Well, they have to play for their pride. They're in front of their own supporters. And you're right, we saw them at St Helens, and apparently last week at Huddersfield they were even worse. And maybe Tony Ray knows that he's got Warrington on the wrong week. This is Mercer again, the try scorer.
Well, to be fair, Eddie, we gave them plenty of stick, the Wolves, in regards to their defence. You've got to say that about the London tackling at the moment. They're falling off, especially out wide.
But here at Warrington, and he's gone for a 40-20 as Breers. He won't get it, though, not with that one. But here at Wilderspool, Warrington, well, they've won their last 3 home games against Halifax, Castleford and Wigan, and they've also beaten St Helens and Leeds here on this ground. Now then, this is a good run from Sykes, the fullback, and he's got Glenair with him, and Glenair hasn't got the toe. Oh, he's away from Breers. It was an awful tackle from Breers, and Glenair will go in for the try. Well, what a run from Sykes. He turned defence into attack. And Glenair, the hooker, his 5th in a row at hooker. Well, he trailed on the inside of Sykes' run. And Sykes has made up for the error earlier with that attempted flap of the ball over the dead ball line. It was a great run and good support from there.
Well, a typical example of a side who've just scored a try, running with confidence, and then they just fall asleep. They allow the fullback, Paul Sykes, duck underneath. Not the best attempt from Breers, went far too high on the hooker. And Glenair, he's really enjoying the role in the pack, but it was good work from Sykes. Kept his cool. And he went far too high, should have gone for the leggies. He failed and paid the price. Broncos back in it.
Glenn, well, no wonder he's enjoying the hooking role with a statistic like that. 4 consecutive games now he has scored a try. Wharton to add the extras. Oh, in off the post. Lucky, but they all count. 18-12. Well, we were saying it was Jekyll and Hyde. Dr. Jekyll was out. Suddenly Mr. Hyde's turned up for Warrington.
Certainly have. You can see Nicow, second marker, very slow out of it. And you can see the prop forward, Danny Nutley. He went out that wide and it left a huge gap. And Sykes did ever so well. You can't ask for much more than that when you draw the full back. But Lee Breers, who was in the sweeping position, really should have gone low. He failed to do that. And it was 4 points for this fella, Glenn Eyre.
And a penalty here, men taken out off the ball from the kick-off. Warrington again going for the short one.
Shane Millard, the culprit. You can stand your ground, but I think you'll find that Millard went forward. And he took Sibbett right out of it. Bang.
Bodies all over the show.
Well, he claimed that he was moving forward, nothing you could do about it. You'd probably say he slipped, Eddie.
Well, it rained just before the kick-off. And here is Martin Masella, who is on the field. 9th in a row as substitute for Masella. Clark to Nicow. Mercer. Out wide was Smythe.
Well, I must say, both sides have played some attractive football. And one thing that London have to do, though, is just tighten their defence, especially just wide of the rucks. The centres and the two wingers, they've been struggling somewhat.
Breers to Coelov. Tried to go inside 2. Potter was there, so too was Rexless with the tackle. And there's a bit of help also from Jim Dimmock. Busby. Good run from Busby to within 9 metres of the line. That's the last tackle, though, for Warrington. Clark. Here's Langer. He attacks the line. There's a little dab kick. It's stabbed on by Mercer, and it was just too deep.
Again, the utilisation of the little kick through. And it just ricocheted away, and Mercer, well, far too strong in the end.
Well, they were claiming then, Warrington and their supporters, that the London defender had made a play at that ball.
Pretty difficult amongst the melee there. Robert Conley not happy with that.
And he's not happy with that either, because that's Nicow all over the top of the grounded player. Penalty, London.
Well, it's amazing how Warrington looked to be in total control of this game. Went to an 18-6 point lead, and then they just fell asleep. They allowed Paul Sykes, let's not take anything away from the fullback's effort, but they were just caught napping.
Here's Dooley, just recently on. Yeah, I made the point just before the error from Paul Sykes that Brian Noble speaks very fondly of Rob Parker and Paul Sykes and all the other youngsters he's got coming through. And although Henry Paul will be going elsewhere next year, well, what an opportunity for Leon Price and Paul Deacon to challenge for that standoff role. Now then, Dimmock attacking the Warrington line. They're just hanging off as they did at St Helens a fortnight ago. And Dimmock was able to get to within a metre of the line. Glenn Eyre, little dab through, and there's a chance that's going to be a try for Eyre.
It will be too.
Referee's gone to the video referee, though. I think it came off Nicow's legs, and if it did, I think this is going to be play on.
Yeah, that's the first ricochet, and then he has another go at it. He's the only person involved with the kick, so there's no worries about offside. He can't go for that, and this is TRY time. What a topsy-turvy game this is turning out to be. The Wolves in full control, so they thought, and the Broncos have kicked back big time. TRY.
It is, and Glenn Eyre, that's his second try of the match. And they're well pleased, the London Broncos supporters, and why shouldn't they be?
Just a little double kick. If at first you don't succeed, then try again, and that's what you get rewarded with. TRY. You've got to feel a bit unlucky for Tawira Nikau. He tried to get down as quick as he could, but before he got his hands to it, this fellow was there with a second kick. And Air in for 2.
So this kick to get it back all square at 18 all. Entertaining match. 18 all it is. Brett Walton 3 from 3. And we're all tied up again. Tony Ray looking pensive.
A little bit of a twinkle in the eye there, Eddie.
Well, only 2 wins here for London in history, 97-98. Both under another Tony Curry.
Now, to be fair, if my memory serves me correct, we've had some classics between these two here over the years.
Ball knocked back by Paul Sykes, and Alan Hunt will pick it up for Warrington. Take on Glenair.
Well, again, London having all sorts of trouble with that short kick-off.
Here's Martin Masella. Clark at dummy half to Langer. Showed it to Nutley. Ran flat, gave it to Breers. Now then, a bit more magic from Breers maybe. Out the back door to Langer again. Langer is tackled by Dimmock. And Cram is there as well.
Well, they got to him eventually, but London really have to work a little bit harder in the first and second marker position. You just get the feeling that Breers and Langer are combining so well.
Here's Nikau. Nutley on the charge. Good run from Nutley. They're banged under the sticks. They're on the last tackle. Clark is the dummy half. It'll come this way to Langer again. Langer with a drop of the shoulder. Langer still almost like he did in the State of Origin, but this time just held up a few centimetres short. Just over half an hour gone then, 18 all. Some entertainment we're seeing here, Phil Clark.
Do you know there's a sign in the tunnel as the Warrington players come out which says Carpe Punctum, which in my memory of my Latin O-levels, right, I think it means seize the moment, and that's exactly what Warrington do. The only problem is the next moment they lose total concentration and they've let London back into the game. As for London, well, they took the decision to kick early in the tackle game, which granted more than half of the possession to Warrington, and it's meant that they've had to do that bit of extra work. They've obviously backed themselves in their fitness, really, that as the game goes on, they might just have the legs on the Warrington side. And now at 18 all, they're back in it, but you might criticise Paul Sykes for one of the tries that London conceded. He's certainly been instrumental in 2 that they scored. Firstly, his run set up that try for her, which got them back into it. And the kick he put up, the ball hung for more than 4 seconds in the air. Here we've seen a penalty, which is the delight of the Warrington fans going their way. And Justin Dooley being accused of lying on in the tackle when in possession, and really that is a killer blow to London at this stage in the game.
Well, the penalty went one way, then it went the other. The referee obviously didn't quite read the lips of the touch judge. So Warrington now really are on the charge. Dooley was the man who was penalised. I think it was also the use of an elbow in the tackle as well.
Well, again, I keep mentioning the fact that London, they self-destruct so often because of dumb football. And you can't get much dumber than what Dooley has just done.
And he's penalised again. Although this time it's gone the other way. He was trying to play the football and not stand up on his feet.
Well, he couldn't.
Well, Moran had hold of him.
How can he stand up? How can a man ever want to stand up when you've got a guy still hanging on to him? I think he's been badly done to. I think Daryl van der Velde knows too.
Oh, well,
you can't believe it.
If looks could kill. Oh!
It's a good job that Nutley didn't have the...
They've got a penalty. They've got a penalty for a dangerous throw, yeah.
But he didn't have his arm underneath. I think he had it on the outside. Oh, yes, he did. My apologies. And well spotted by Robert Connolly.
So here is another golden opportunity for the Broncos. Moran, off it goes to Dimmock. The runner is Dooley, taking on Nikau, who leapt to bring him down. 10 metres away from the Warrington line. Dooley is hurt. He's caught. Is it a stray finger in the eye?
He's in a lot of pain, so I think there is... it looks as though there's a finger gone in. Now let's watch carefully. Well, there's a bit of an elbow there. Well, there certainly wasn't any stray fingers. Maybe it was the elbow from Clark that just caught him.
Maybe so. He's down there receiving treatment as Dimmock gets the ball away to air, and this is Nigel Roy. And
Good
Joe
defence.
Coe-Love.
Great defence there.
That is good defence. And it was good play from Roy as well to stay within the field. Dimmock, Rexless to Cram. Cram round the corner, and Millard takes control, but they lost a bit of ground there.
Well, you see the man just jumping into dummy half there. Dennis Morani really has to start running at the defence a little bit more. They've got to test this Warrington defence.
But untidy there. Dan Potter, they have lost ground. They're on the last. Dimmock with a kick to open space over there. Rob Smythe claims it. Oh, that's good play, though. Terrific chase it was by Rob Parker.
He'll be pleased with that. Pleased with the fact that they didn't come up with maybe points. Tony Ray perhaps saw that Toa Coe-Love was Nigel Roy. Coe-Love, well, did he really get a shoulder to him? Either way, it's play on. It'll be a drop out. But it certainly was good work from the second rower, Rob Parker.
Here come London again in the shape of Cram. Mercer with the tackle.
Psychologically, Eddie, if any side now can just post another try before the break, they'll go up with the tails up, and really, they're struggling hard at Warrington now.
That's a great ball. I was about to say a great ball from Roy, but the referee was right on the spot, and he said it was forward to Glenair.
He got it right. Not much in it, but Glenair just had to reach back. Pretty difficult to see from that angle, but as Eddie just mentioned, the official in a wonderful position.
He was ready. That was Roy who put the pass through to Glenair, but Glenair was ready to celebrate a hat-trick then.
As I mentioned earlier, there's Mercer into the blood bin.
Gives nothing other than 100%, Gary Mercer.
Sure does, and I think he holds some sort of a record that I think is in every pitch in Super League. I think he's dropped a bit of claret. Well, he's been around that long, he should have,
well,
wouldn't
you're probably right, yeah. McCurry's on for him. This is McCurry's first touch.
That's a good move by Daryl van der Velde. Bring an impact player like Steve McCurry on just before they go to the break. The type of player that can just bust through this defence.
Masella to his feet, plays it to Clark. Nutley on the charge. Of course, Warrington fans will have their eye closely on Danny Nutley going to Cronulla at the end of the season, but he will give nothing other than 100%. Good quick hands here. Penny, though, forward again. Referee got the nod this time from his touch judge.
Well, on that occasion, it was just slightly forward to Sibbett. But it's been a delight to watch, especially from the Warrington three-quarters. The ability to do the link, get the ball away from...
Millard.
Oh, that's poor defence again.
Millard on the charge. Hunt stood his ground. But,
good job, too.
It was. He had all of the Warrington side in his wake there, other than Alan Hunt. And this is Nigel Roy now for London. About 30 metres away from the Warrington try line, and plenty of tackles in hand. Moran. Charging run there by Cram. Moran again. Dimmock. Here's Rexless.
Great tackle there. Ian Sibbett. Copybook tackle there.
Last one here for London. There's the kick. They're testing Rob Smythe again on that wing. But Rob Smythe comes up with it. Probably the smallest man on the field, Smythe. Nigel Roy just hanging on to his ankles, to the annoyance of the Warrington fans.
Good kick, good defence. And he did well there, did Rob Smythe, under a lot of pressure from his opposite, Brett Wharton.
Here goes John Clark again. Masella to Langer. Good ball to Hunt. And Hunt is through. And he's through again from air. Here's Coe-Love. Coe-Love's pass just behind Rob Smythe. And Cram was able to pick up and clear up for the Broncos. So here come London now. and it's their chance to attack in the last minute.
Koilov trying to get it away there. Went to the rescue.
Was it Crum or was it Sykes?
It was Paul Sykes that got there eventually, yeah. He missed the initial first tackle, but came up with the all-important ball. I think London will be quite happy just to play it out to half-time.
Dimmock with a dab over the top. It's turned Alan Hunt around, and that hangs agonisingly for Hunt. Roy in, though, with the tackle. Lovely kick again from Dimmock. Smythe. Good work from Nigel Roy and Brett Wharton.
No frills, that's what's needed. Alfie Langer knows that too.
Here's Koilov. Wrestled to the ground by Parker.
Oh, good hit.
Yes.
Getting tasty out there. Dooley with a big hit.
And he
didn't like it.
Well, right on the siren. Tony Ray making his way down to the dressing rooms. But Steve McCurry did not like the hit from Justin Dooley and let the big Australian know of his displeasure. Well, an entertaining half, this. 3 tries apiece, 3 goals apiece. It's 18-all at Warrington. More live world champion, Koilov. And Darrell van der Velde knows that maybe if they are to get into the top 5, and it is a big if, this next 40 minutes is the last throw of the dice. And that must be the same also for the London Broncos, who have gone through transition beyond belief this year. 6 players have made their London debuts in the past 5 weeks. So it's been a far from easy period. Down at the Valley for Tony Ray. They're 6th place though at the moment, 6 adrift of Leeds in 5th. Incentive enough knowing that Leeds have got to play the Bulls at Valley Parade tomorrow. 18-all then at Wilders Pool, underway second half. Could go either way, this.
Certainly could, and we saw the short kick-off from Warrington yet again. It's the first time from 4 of those that London have come up with possession. Oh, and he's lost that.
He has knock on by Rob Parker. Alan Langer was round him like a little fly. Wouldn't leave him alone.
He's worked overtime as Langer.
And Koilov as well.
Much better performance in defence at certain times. Apart from just about 10 or 12 minutes just before the break, where they were falling off quite a few tackles. Up until then, they were pretty solid.
Alan Hunt in possession. This is Warrington's leading try scorer this year. 15 tries and 5 in his last 7 matches. On it goes to Martin Masella. Now then, this is the first chance that Warrington have to attack. 5 handling errors, 6 by London, and double the number of missed tackles by the Broncos. But both sides level pegging on the scoreboard where it counts at the moment, as Nick Out takes that tackle and then on his knees tries to pinch a couple more metres from the London defence.
Well, Warrington, they've got to try to exploit London out wide. They did it so often in that first half.
Busby, the man at dummy half for Warrington here, and he's backed himself, but Dimmock gets to him, and that was the last tackle, so it's the turnover.
Well, that's a sin there from Busby, just going from dummy half. When you got the quality of Alan Langer and Lee Breers out there in that kicking department, that is a complete and utter waste. Into the second minute then of this second half. Let's get the half-time news. What was said, here's Bill.
Well, Eddie, both the coaches pretty cagey, as you'd imagine, with their sides level pegging at 18 points and all, but Darrell van der Velde, as you saw there, just wants more urgency from his side. The thing that they've been lacking really at times this season is a desire to really put in the killer blow. They've got into the position to do that, and they haven't come up with it, and that's what he wants to see from his side. More urgency, more desire. They're getting into the field positions, but they've really got to demonstrate that killer instinct. London Broncos coach Tony Ray very satisfied with the way his side have come back from the situation they were in. A lot of sides might have thrown the towel in at that point, but the London Broncos kept pegging away. That's been the hallmark of their season, especially defensively, looking to that in this second half. Keep the Warrington Wolves bottled up, get to the kick, force the mistake, take the chances.
Chance here of a 40-20 from Lee Breers. What a kick. What a great kick. Well, when this fella's in the mood, Warrington can sparkle. It's head and feet to Warrington at the scrum, courtesy of the golden boot.
And it shows you quite clearly how important this new rule, 40-20, can be. And after Busby went for the power play, and it was a handover to the Broncos, frittered away the chance. They get a golden opportunity now, courtesy of the boot from Lee Breers.
Yeah, so they have 6 tackles to come here from this situation. Langer feeds scrum, gets possession, finds Breers wide. It goes to Coe Love, and that was a very important ankle tap there from Paul Sykes. Breers again. Now Masella. They've shot out of the line quickly, and that was Parker. Clark to Nicow.
Now then, what can the half-back combination come up with now? Langer and Breers.
There is Langer. Here is Breers. Ball back on the inside to Alan Hunt.
Well spotted by the loose forward Millard. Pinpointed that inside pass.
Still tackles in the bank though for Warrington with Langer. Langer flicks it back. They get the possession through McCurry, who in turn finds Nicow, who finds Masella, who gives it to Smythe. And Smythe relaunches the attack via Langer. On it goes to Hunt again. And Hunt looks for support. It was there, but Coe Love. Dimmock with a very important tackle. Hunt again.
Oh, great defence. Dimmock leading the way. Dan Potter over the top.
Well, Hunt was airborne.
That was outstanding play from both sides. The build-up was superb. Dimmock's hurt. And not surprisingly, that was one heck of a smash.
Langer was airborne. Hunt was airborne and ready to put the ball down.
Bump. What a great tackle on Coe Love. And then he did it again. Lifted him up. Not surprisingly, he's just slowly jogging back. Chance of a 40-20 in return.
And it is. It's going to be.
It sure is.
That was Dennis Moran. And the touch judge has given the nod to Robert Connolly. It's London's head and feed.
And it was well inside the 40. It just hit the terra firma after the line, which would have convinced the merry flag waver.
So now an opportunity for London. Rexless to Dimmock. Here is Moran. Wide ball, and on the charge was Sykes.
Well, there again we see the little halfback, Dennis Moran, going into dummy half nearly all the time.
Here's Dan Potter now. Began at Leeds, this fellow, then to Bramley, and on to Dewsbury Rams before arriving at London, the end of the NFP season. Good support.
Oh, good chance there.
Cram.
It's got to be a knock-on.
It has. Referee has blown the whistle. Cram continues on, but...
Well, the prop forward tried to force the pass in an impossible situation, try to give it to his halfback, Moran. Half the chance, but it just went straight into the face of the number 7. Opportunity gone.
Yes, wasted by London.
Ooh, dodgy pass on the blind side. Good work, though, from Nigel Roy.
Yes, he was watching that and waiting for the pass out wide. Here comes McCurry again.
Well, both sides are realising that they're up for this, that they know that the vital 2 points, it's there for the taking. And I just get the feeling that whoever scores next will probably boss this game throughout.
Nutley on the charge. Warrington 2 points behind the Broncos. And London have been putting in the tackling, haven't they? That's a good ball to Busby. He got the pass away, but it was...
Was he taken out? I think he was.
He was. That's a decision for Robert Connolly, and he's made it. But had that decision not come, Rexless was away.
Yeah, and Glen Eyre certainly took Breers out. Had hold of him before the ball was coming back on the inside from Busby. You haven't got time to hold a committee meeting. You knew that Breers was well and truly through the gap then.
So Martin Masella.
That was high. And Glen Eyre was the man of the moment. So sure that he'll get many plaudits from Tony Ray.
Well, they've spurned the opportunity of 2 points here.
Can't believe that.
In a match of this intensity, you would have thought they might have taken the 2 on offer, but they fancy 4, and they're going to get them. Are they? No, that's terrific tackling from Sykes. He hauled Coelho over the touchline.
Well, excellent play again out wide. And it's a good job that Paul Sykes has...
I think Robert Connolly's gone for the video referee.
Well, I don't know why. The flag definitely went.
Well, he never put it down anyway.
No. Well, maybe he's confused. It was good work. And there it is. It's no try.
Oh, he did put it down. But he's over the line when he put it down.
Yeah, N-O-T-R-Y. I'll put my house in the swimming pool on this one again.
We should get a message to the video ref. Yes, scrum defence.
It's the swimming pool that narks you, isn't it?
Yes.
Really? I thought so.
I've got a pond, you've got a pool. That sort of sums us up, really. Eight minutes, second half. Second half. What's the matter now?
What sort of fish do you have in your pond?
Very brave ones. Only 2, by the way.
Cod, haddock. That's a good kick too.
It is. This is Smythe. Good chase from Moran and Nigel Roy.
Well, I think Warrington, you know, they will rue the fact that they turned down the chance of those 2 points. They were in a very good position. I would have gone for the 2. They would have got the ball back from the kick-off.
Clark to Masella. Masella plays the ball to Clark. Here is Breers. He's gone for that 40-20 again. It just took a wrong skip. And it eventually runs dead over the dead ball line.
It's amazing that the rugby ball, it can just bounce anywhere and then sometimes pop up. And look, for one moment there, it was going to just hold up in the in-goal area. Great defence again from Busby. Well, they've certainly improved in that department today. Of the Warrington Wolves.
Millard took a bit of a crack then, I think, from Sibbett. Here is Dooley.
I get the impression that the Broncos are quite happy just to grind this one out. And then, if they get in a position close to the line, they may come in with a little bit of a run around. On the kick.
Nice little dab over by Dennis Moran. And he got it too, and he got the ball away. They're in here. Sylvain Houlès, the Frenchman, has got over for the try. Well, the Warrington defence hung back, and Dennis Moran just flicked the ball over the top. And the teenage French international has given Darrell van der Velde something more to frown about. But those London fans, something to cheer about. Houlès with the try. He was with Huddersfield last year, and that's his second try of Super League 6.
Well, I said in the first half, perhaps Dennis Moran should try a little bit more to test this defence. That was outstanding play from the half-back. Good support from the winger, Houlès. Excellent play off the side of the right boot. Nicow just couldn't get to it. Great offload under pressure. And the Frenchman put the Broncos into the lead. He's pleased. He should be on Wednesday. His mother invited me down for some cassoulet.
London Broncos hit the front for the first time. And Brett Wharton, well, this is very, very easy for him. And London have established a 6-point lead. Well, you said that the team that scores next would boss this match. Here's London's opportunity.
And what a great opportunity it will be. And this was sheer skill there from Moran. Gets the bounce, but most importantly, the offload. And the winger, presence of mind to come from the wing, realised that the kick was going to be on. Good combination, quick thinking there by the Frenchman. And that could prove a vital try for the Broncos. They're still in with a chance for that top 5. Okay, there's 6 points adrift from the Leeds Rhinos.
They'll close it to 4 if they win here, and Leeds with Bradford on the agenda tomorrow. Knock on from the kick-off.
Well, it's becoming a real problem for the Broncos. As I mentioned before, they've only had one successful catch of all the kickoffs from Warrington.
Well, he was facing his own line, Nigel Roy, but the ball went back over his shoulder.
Yeah, went forward.
Now then, Hunt for Warrington. Trailing by 6.
Well,
First time they've been behind.
Warrington, obviously, they'll want to try to hit back as quickly as possible to stop London gaining the momentum. Remember, as Eddie's just mentioned, they are now in the box seat. They're leading for the first time in the game, and that should lift their spirits.
Langer, wide ball. Breers. Rushed away from Glenn again. This is Busby. Turns the ball back to Coe Love. On it goes to John Clark. Here now is to word a nick out. But they just surround the New Zealander.
That's good defence as well.
Last tackle here for Warrington. Langer attacking the line. Coe Love. Out the back door, Smythe.
What a great try.
Second try for Rob Smythe. And beautiful hands again from Coe Love. Well, rumours abound that Coe Love won't be here next year either. He will be at another club in Super League, but what a loss he will be to Warrington. His pass there has given Rob Smythe double figures for the season.
And what a pass it was. He's so quick, Coe Love, there with the hands. And again, London are caught out wide. Bang. It was Wharton that was sucked in. 2-on-1, which left Smythe the opening to score. When really, Brett Wharton should have stayed out wide and let Nigel Roy take care of Coe Love. He failed to do that. And that fella comes up with an all-important try. Game on yet again.
Indeed so. Rob Smythe with the try, but Coe Love, what an in-and-out character this fellow is. His tackling style sometime in defence is questioned. He's just back from a 4-match ban, but he has got absolutely breathtaking skills with ball in hand. Now then, Lee Breers, and mirrored right behind him in that big screen. Kicking brilliantly is Breers, and we're level again. 24-24. Well, a match that you would be hard-pushed to predict this, even at this stage.
Sheer skill, you can see there, Wharton has been sucked right in. Open run for Smythe, but the pass is outstanding. Quick thinking. As Eddie mentioned, rumours abound about Coe Love leaving the club. It will be a bitter blow to the Warrington Wolves if that is the case, but he's been linked with quite a few throughout the season, hasn't he, Eddie?
He has indeed. Now then, Warrington with their supporters behind them again. And this really could swing either way. Rich entertainment in the Super League. The players in this game very rarely let us down. It's a competition that other sports covet, and the Super League produces via the players week in and week out. Breers with a high-hanging kick. Well taken. Well taken, Paul Sykes. Stand up, take a bow.
Great stuff. Good pressure from Alan Hunt as well. They really have put their bodies on the line, both sides. But it needed something exceptional. And it was from Coe Love. Outstanding flick pass out wide to Smythe.
Well, Steve-O talks about the players putting their bodies on the line here, and we can pick up some injury news from Bill on the touchline.
Well, in fact, Eddie, it looked as though Brett Wharton had come off injured, but having checked with the London staff, there's no injury to Brett Wharton, as Dennis Moran looks for another 40-20, unsuccessfully that time. It looks as though Greg Fleming has gone on because the Broncos have been caught a couple of times out on their left-hand side, and they're looking to strengthen up that area before any more damage is done.
Well, it's obvious that Tony Ray, the London coach, dissatisfied with the effort, and he would have liked what he saw there, that the way that it looked as though Moran had already wrapped up Koilov, and when Wharton went inside to help, it left an open gate for Smythe. And like any professional footballer, if you make a mistake, then quite often the coach will bring you off.
Huge plus for Tony Ray, though, to have Greg Fleming on the bench. He's missed the last 11. Langer, little chip over the top. The bounce is important, and well, that was well done by Paul Sykes.
Well, it was a dodgy ball. It was a nice little tip over the top.
And they have the penalty.
And the hooker Clark, a bit silly there. You see there the tackle had been completed, and he just threw himself over the top, wouldn't allow him to get on. And it's things like that that can just turn the game one way or the other. Just a lack of concentration.
Well, they're on the charge here now, London. They're 10 metres away with Toshak.
Now then, will they be thinking of the one? Plenty of time to go.
Glenn Eyre, Dennis Moran, Jim Dimmock, Moran again. Wide it goes, they're in with that Frenchman once more, Sylvain Hules. And the Warrington crowd are saying the pass was forward, but the referee and the touch judge disagree, and Darrell van der Velde cannot believe what he's just seen. Sylvain Hules had yards in which to play with.
Well, I think that Darrell van der Velde is not concerned about the pass. I think he's more going to be troubled by the fact that there was a huge gap. We talk about the fact that Smythe went through a huge gap, and Brett Wharton, he was substituted. What about this here? Oh, the winger was caught out completely. Lee Penny, you'll find, has done exactly what Brett Wharton did. Found himself in no man's land, and the Frenchman in for his second. It's getting to be a habit or two.
Terrific try from Hules. There was nothing wrong with that final pass, and well, he's just off the tour to New Zealand and Papua New Guinea with the French international side, and he scored plenty of tries out there as well. Now then, Paul Sykes with the opportunity to add the extras. Well, they changed the kicker, it doesn't matter. Of course, Brett Wharton removed by coach Tony Ray. Paul Sykes takes over, and London have a 6-point lead again.
They see it, the winger in no man's land. Beautiful pass from Moran. Bang. No one at home. Super play, but bad positioning yet again. Now then, we saw Brett Wharton get substituted. I wonder if Darrell van der Velde will be equally as cruel and replace Penny.
Vital kick-off for Warrington, but London have got it back in the shape of Nigel Roy. So London have a 6-point advantage again. Toshak to his feet. There's the dummy half. Here they come forward again with Scott Cram to the halfway line. Who's your man of the match? 09009 10 10 13, 15 15 92 35 56 in the Irish Republic. Vote now and try and agree with Steve-O and Phil Clark. You could be on your way to the grand final. That little chip over the top is out on the full from Steel Rexless.
Perhaps not the best option. Really should have left the kicking game to Dennis Moran or Jim Dimmock. Trying to catch him out on the blind side and then try to fool the referee by doing a bit of an Oscar dive.
Well, of course, the race is on for the playoff places in the Super League this year. The grand final is on Saturday, October the 13th, and if you need any information about the match, it's available from Super League's offices. 0113 244 111 normal office hours. We can tell you the game's at Old Trafford. It will kick off at 6:30. Any other information you may require about the match, you now have the relevant telephone number. They will be delighted to hear from you. Warrington and London still with designs on making the top 5, and if London win here, their hope will burn brightly. Breers, that's intelligent. Oh, and he's made a mess of it. Hules. And Breers somehow stays within the field of play.
Out. Breers saying that the tackle had already been completed. He'll go and have a little word with the touch judge here. I don't think it was. And he just stuck out his left leg. This will be head and feet to the Broncos. Hules makes the real meal of it. And he's not tackled there. When they go to him, his foot goes over. Good work.
Yes, he wasn't tackled. And he was slid over the line, and there wasn't a hand on him. So London with the chance.
I keep harping on about the situation when the scores were locked together earlier in this second half, when really Warrington had an easy go for the penalty. They really should have taken the 2 points.
Yes, they went for broke, and their season might end up broken. Breers the sweeper. Rexless though leading the charge.
We lashed out there, did Breers. Moran, well, he didn't like the fact that Moran came to him. Handbags at 6 paces, but definitely Breers lashed out. Couldn't really see what Moran had done to him in the first place.
Oh, that ball's gone to ground. It's hacked forward. It's going to be a knock-on against Warrington.
We've got to kick long. Get to Denny.
Well, this was a forced error. You see how the London defence came up and right into the face. It was Moran.
Yes, it came off Moran. And Danny Nutley has got a case. He was appealing to the referee.
I think you're right, Eddie. I think Moran gets a hand to this. Yeah, he does. But that gets back to the thing we were arguing about a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Moran was going into the tackle. Perhaps it was an accident.
Well, that's where we will beg to differ on all of that.
Well, I think they will bring that ruling that the Australians have brought in this season. I think that we will find next year we'll be playing the same rule.
Best of luck, referees. Glen Eyre.
Well, at least in doing that, if they do bring it in, then it puts the emphasis on the ball carrier to make sure that they keep hold of it.
Dooley trying to do that now for London.
Now, this is where London really should be going for the one-pointer. Break the back. Here it comes.
Well, an opportunity here from Sykes. He's got it. He's kicked it. He's kicked it as Paul Sykes. And that increases the lead. That means that Warrington now must score twice.
Good work from Sykes. Full back, gave himself plenty of time, plenty of room. Good execution.
And that kick-off from Warrington was quickly taken. And they have drilled it along the ground. And
Well,
they're
he's
going to
unhappy.
they're going to get the head and feed.
And he's every right to feel unhappy. London was still basking in the glory of that one-pointer from Sykes, the full back. When really they should have looked, they were just trotting back. They realised they were going to get caught out. And that is a sin.
Good kick, though.
Excellent kick. Got to make every post a winner these days.
Langer feeds and gives it to Breers. Breers is enveloped. Rexless was in second. And they're working hard now, London. Nick out. Trying to offload again, but all wrapped up. Clark. Here comes Guisset.
Great run there. Running very low indeed. Difficult target to get.
And so is McCurry, who's over. McCurry plunders one. Well, this match isn't over. Not by a long, long shot.
Good effort there from McCurry. And of course it all came about because of the fact that they were lackadaisical at the kick-off for the London Broncos, as I said, basking in the glory, and they paid the price from the head and feed, from that scrum, from the quick kick-off. This is it. This is the reason why Tony Ray would have been absolutely raving mad. That's a good effort from McCurry. And a good stalwart for this club.
Yes, he has, McCurry, and he got a try against London here last year as well. He's in a rich vein of form just at the moment too. And now then, this is an important kick from Lee Briers. It's 5 tries apiece, by the way. No goal kickers missed yet. But Briers has missed that one. In the overall context, it doesn't matter. Warrington still have to score twice. They still do have to score again. But Wolfie isn't impressed. McCurry, 100th appearance last week, over for another try. Briers misses the conversion. The gap is 3 points. In the context of the match, as I say, it matters not, because Warrington still have to score again, and they would have done anyway.
But at least the heads didn't go down, and that really was quick thinking. The quick kick-off. You really have to be on your toes for the full 80 minutes.
The 98th career try for Steve McCurry. We have got 12 minutes of the match remaining. Phil Clark, it's a smashing contest.
It sure is too, and if I was a London Broncos fan, I'd be a little bit worried. They lost in the last minute of the game last week, and man, a psychological scar for some of the players, plus the fact they've had to do a tremendous amount of work, more than Warrington in defence, and that does take more out of you. And so the impetus now with the Warrington, they go for a quick 40-20. Can he find touch?
Yes, he can. Fantastic kicking from Briers. When he ticks, Phil, Warrington tick.
Certainly, and his kicking ability really has kept Warrington in this game today. I mean, his kicks on the 40-20, he makes that look so easy, doesn't he? But to actually do it and execute it in the slow motion, it looks a simple kick, but it's very, very hard to do, and that's why we see so few in the game. But now, certainly an excellent attacking option here now, both sides of the play.
So, chances then here for Warrington. They have ball in hand with Coe Love. Fleming got to him, Moran got to him. We have 11 minutes left. There's just 3 points between the teams, and anything can happen here. Guisset. Clark's the dummy half. The runner is Gary Mercer. The tackler, though, low down. Almost inevitably, Steele Rexless. Clark off the deck to Langer. Langer to Nicow. Nicow tackled by Jim Dimmock. Langer again will attack the line.
Solid defence there. Rexler's got his shoulder into him.
Clark again. Here's Langer, engineer-in-chief. Briers wanted it and got it. Briers flicks it out. And the referee says that's a knock-on in consultation with the touch judge. Darrell van der Velde is, well, I remember one year we were here and he was flicking around in that box, and we believe there might have been a wasp in there. I don't know whether he's had a sting, but I tell you what, he's got something to complain about. That might have been deemed a knock-on and head and feed to his team.
Well, he's probably feeling that he's not getting a rub at the green at the moment, but the reason why he looked bitterly disappointed and angry, in fact, is the fact that you know, with the likes of Briers and Langer out there, they should be controlling it. In the first 25 minutes of this game, Langer was just so much in control with the little kicks into the in-goal area, and yet they've seemed to have forgotten to do that.
Kicking very early in the tackle count tonight. There's the numbers for your man of the match votes, and Lee Penny does well to get the ball back. Now then, Warrington are under pressure. This is Sibbett.
Well, with kicks like that, he will be vindicated, Tony Ray. It's a big gamble. That means that you've got to set about your stall and make sure that your tackling is pretty solid. It was a wonderful kick, but you've got to make sure this one line of defence is good, and it is at the moment.
Quick play the ball to what Warrington needs, and here goes Briers again, looking for another 40-20, and he's got it again, has he? He most certainly has. I think we've seen a record number of 40-20s in a Super League match on Sky Sports tonight, and most of them have come Warrington's way, courtesy of Lee Briers.
Unbelievable. Such a small fella,
got an immense talent, Steve-O, when he wants to play.
Certainly has, and especially in the kicking department like that. They've frittered away many opportunities when they got quite close to the Broncos line, but he's given them every chance.
Well, they're like cricketers in the nervous 90s now, London, because they've won just one in their last 7 matches. And last week, as we've heard, they had defeat in the last minute against Hull. They had the victory stolen from them. Surely it's not going to happen again here, or is it? 3 points the difference, 8 minutes to go, and Warrington looking for something here with Langer. Now with Nick out.
Good defence yet again. Nick out trying to twist in the tackle and offload. It's all hands to the pump now.
Langer, short ball, he's put it down, Gisay.
Well, he was coming on the line and he's not happy yet again.
No
Darryl
wonder,
van der Velde.
no wonder he's giving the coaching game away, Steve-O, when he's finished here.
Well, he's probably thought he should have done that about 10 years ago, but you could see that it wasn't a bad pass.
Look,
Oh.
it goes through the horrors.
I hate to be that wall behind. I would be battered and bruised.
I think they probably had to reinforce it this year. It's been that sort of season.
I don't know what footwear he wears, Darryl van der Velde, but I do hope they're steel caps.
I'm sure they are. Oh, Moran, he shaped it
Great
all long.
play.
Brilliant. Oh! But Dimmock is following up, and he's got it. Retzless.
That's forward. That was a forward pass, and it's been spotted by Robert Connolly. They have blown a golden opportunity. Why on earth did they have to force the pass? And that is what Retzless is saying. Why on earth did you try to get offloaded? Beautiful work yet again from Dennis Moran. He's had a good second half. Didn't bounce right for him, it did for Dimmock. But why didn't they just go down with possession?
Well, that's an escape for Warrington. Can Tony Ray must be biting his fingernails now. Can Warrington make London pay for that mistake? Toshak gets with Parker, gets to Mercer.
But why do you have to play catch-up football when you're winning on the scoreboard? It was vital that London soaked up the pressure and got through their 6, made sure they had a good kick and chase.
Now then, a chance here. It's the substitute Paul Wood. Good tackle low down by Andy Johnson. Here is Alan Langer. Oh, the ball off Coelov.
Coelov, the knock on.
It's on the last.
Same again. And Darryl van der Velde is saying, look,
Tell him to calm down.
Calm it down, yes. He's already told him, Tony Ray.
Well, I suppose when you're behind on the scoreboard, time is of the essence, and there's 5.5 minutes remaining here.
You can't blame Warrington because they are behind. They've got to play the catch-up football. And that's where it is to be now that London, you know, the likes of Jim Dimmock, the importance in his professionalism. Oh, and Glenn Ayre has knocked on. I was just about to say, it's calm down time. And Glenn Ayre has come up with a knock-on at a vital moment.
Big hit by Toa Coelov.
He's worked hard throughout, especially in defence as a hooker.
Well, what's Darryl saying? I'd love to be a fly on the wall. 9 all the handling errors. Here is Alan Hunt.
Never mind a fly, I'd love to have a tape recorder.
I bet it would be colourful, that's for sure. Sibbett now for Warrington.
What, the tape recorder?
What's on the tape? Clark. Here comes Gisay again. Clark once more. Nicow. Now Noon. Paul Wood, I beg your pardon. Clark. Langer. Wide it goes to Breers. Breers pops it back to McCurry. And the 10-ton truck was charging forward. Clark. Wide to Hunt.
Oh, good defence from Dimmock.
On the
and that's the last, and you can tell that the coach is far from happy. Why did they go yet again for the power play? When you keep saying it, I'm sick and tired of saying it. Breers and Langer, the best short kickers in the game. Breers also got the long kicking game.
Yes, and they run it on the last. And the power plays, 8 from Warrington and London. They've kicked everything on the last. And in fact, they've been kicking very early in the tackle count tonight of London, all the way through. This could be a famous victory for the Broncos, and it really will put a little bit of pressure on the Rhinos tomorrow at Bradford. Long kick here from Dimmock. That's going to run dead. Right. Warrington maybe with the last hurrah coming up. He knows it, their crowd know it.
I'm not so sure that Jim Dimmock didn't do that on purpose, so that the Broncos can get a one-set line rather than keeping the ball in open play where you've maybe got a few tired players out there. You don't get a full line and a good chase.
Nicow then, full line of defenders are there. And they're defending well.
He's worked hard as a loose forward to Nicow tonight.
That ball's gone free. It was never played. It was all over the show.
Yeah, knock on. Well,
Hunt gets it away to Coelov. He's put it down. Knock on is given. Oh!
Oh, dearie me.
There was the wasp. The wasp's gone. And if I was that fly, Steve-O, well, I'd have been all over the shop.
Oh, get the DDT out. Where's that pump? I remember as a kid, I used to... You probably didn't have one. No, I didn't.
No, we had a little bit of sticky paper hanging up over the kit, mind you. Well, I think it could be London's day. They've got 2 minutes to hang on. Or is there another twist in this match? Johnson.
Common sense if you're a London Bronco player out there. That's what's needed.
Warrington again.
Oh, what on earth is he doing? Glenn Aird, it's a knock-on.
No.
They're lucky to get away with that.
It's a knock-on against Warrington.
Yes, I know, but why on earth did Glenn Aird have to pass?
I think he's finally rolled up the white flag as Darrell.
We'll have to break in both thumbs and all the knuckles. I'm not surprised. But why on earth did he try to dummy and then pass?
I was about to say Warrington will get the ball at the end, but this is Millard. He's got support there. That's a great tackle back. It was on Parker. Moran, quick play the ball. They're wide and they're stretched here at Warrington. He's thrown the ball out.
Three on none.
That would have been it.
3 on none.
Well, they will get another chance, Warrington.
Look at that. He was queuing up.
Toshak, was it? It was.
Just queuing up to plonk the ball down.
His pass was all over the place. The referee's held up the clock because he knows London. There's another coach going through the agony. But he knows London are plodding to the scrum. Now it's time on, and here come Warrington. This is the last throw of the dice. Sibbett.
Oh, turn my pacemaker on quickly.
There's a man back, a full-back, not Paul Sykes, it's Hules, who has dropped back to cover the kick downfield, because the kick will surely come. Mercer.
Sykes has gone back, Moran's going into the area, and it's Strappy.
And it's 6 to go. Now then, Nicow, Sibbett, and wide it goes to Penny.
2 more play the balls at the most.
Breers, Langer, great tackle by Fleming, but he managed to get the ball away. And here's Alan Hunt, the leading scorer for Warrington. Hunt puts the ball on the deck. It bounces all over the place.
He's got to be offside.
Hunt, inside it goes to Breers. He's knocked it forward. The hooter sounds. The referee hasn't blown, has he?
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
There was an offside situation. Well, Clark perhaps got to it before it went over the dead in goal line. That would have been a try, but he's brought it all back. It's all over, and
Tony
he's a
Ray.
relief man.
Tony Ray breathes a huge sigh of relief. They're not out of the race for the top 5 yet. They close the gap on the Leeds Rhinos. Leeds with the important visit to Bradford tomorrow, and oh, that's what it means to Tony Ray. And everybody believes that London might well come home with a wet sail at the end of this year. They'll get their big guns back, maybe, Barnett and Hetherington for the run-in. They have a much easier run-in than Leeds and the other top 5 contenders, with the exception of Hull. And so it could just be that this result here at Warrington tonight can turn London Broncos' season around. They've got to face Wigan. They've got to go to Hull. But apart from that, with all of the others and with all due respect to them, it's a much easier run-in for London. A famous win, and helped by Sylvain Hules, who has scored 2 tries here tonight, that has helped them to this victory, 31-28. And here's the Frenchman with Bill.
Sylvain, congratulations on 2 tries, but that must have been very, very nerve-wracking at the end.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. We were just winning by 3 points, so it was pretty hard to end. Like, you know, last weekend we got a hard end too. They scored to the last minute, so we were possible to this game, so it was pretty hard, but pretty happy to the win after last weekend, and pretty enjoy for the team, for the Broncos.
And for you to get 2 tries as well, very enjoyable.
Yeah, very good here, you know. I don't know what to say, yeah, it's very good. Thanks for Dennis for these 2 passes, good pass, and yeah, it's good for the team, good spirit.
You had great support here tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, it's pretty good, you know. I'm pretty enjoyed to win London Broncos. It's pretty good for the supporters. They do the travels and we won, so it's pretty good, yeah.
Well done, Sylvain, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much, thank you.
Thank you.